Good morning. Today I'm thinking I'm going to run some carburetor flange sockets. This makes carburetor flanges for I think it's a GS1100 or something. I think it's a Suzuki. I'm not sure. But anyways, I'm doing that, and also for a Kawasaki KZ440. That I happen to know what it is. That's a 2-cylinder bike. There's a lot of them around. This particular mold, to show you how I'm making these molds, I don't know if it's a trade secret or not, but I'll tell you anyways. These particular molds, this one in particular, makes two different parts from these two cavities. It makes for the Kawasaki 440 and also for a Honda 360. This is how I'm making them now. With it's going to put the flange in here. You can see the metal flange sticks out and the screw holes and everything. The difference in the center is caused by the mandrel, the part in the center, what we call a core. The cavity is the outside part, which is this part out here, would be the cavity. This would be the cavity half. It's making the outside of the part. These things here is the core. They're coring out the center of your part. And the length has to, of course, add up to the thickness of this. Your core has to be the same as this thickness of that. That's going to be the height of the overall part. So what I do to be able to change this, I don't know if you can see on this camera or not, but there's some little socket head screws in here, just 1032 socket head cap screws. And you unscrew that and change this to another one that I have here to make the core part for a Honda 360. The outside of it, the cavity, is the same on all of them. You'll see that this makes a little bit bigger one than this one. It's a little smaller. That one goes on a Suzuki, I think. I think it's a 4-cylinder bike. I sell those in sets of 4. But because the cavity is the same and the overall length is the same, the difference in the parts is going to be where you put the carburetor on. Now this is where it goes into the engine, which would be where the flange is, and this part here would be where it fits on the carburetor. So a Kawasaki 440, the carburetor would fit where this is going to core out the part where the carburetor fits on. So this is basically the end of the carburetor, just remachined here. It looks very similar to a KZ440 carburetor. I use a little bit different design on this locking ring here because what Kawasaki used was kind of it had like a barb. It's a little angle to it, and I think it might make it a little bit hard to get out of the mold. It might tear the parts when I'm molding it, particularly when I'm using a little bit stiffer rubber than they use. They use real soft stuff. You can get away with a lot with a soft rubber. That cures a world of ills by using a real soft durometer. So anyways, that's just the secret of that as to how that's done. Now, with this here core part, you'll see I have a key on here, and that helps me put this mold together right. You'll see I milled a little slot in here. And the other thing you can do also is put a paint mark or something on there. Just a magic marker or anything you put on there. Then you can see real easy if you got that mold put together right. So you kind of put it up against that key like that, and lower this down. I hope you can see this on the camera. And that puts that on there like that. Now the mold is cold right now, and sometimes they're a little harder to get together when they're cold than they are when they're hot. One of the considerations with using aluminum molds is that, let's say this piece was hot and this piece was cold, and I try to put this on there, it's going to be real hard to put it together because this piece will be much smaller than that. And I'm talking maybe 5-6 thousandths. It'll change real easy just from the 300 degrees or so this press is running, you see. So this is coring out our center parts. Now, as far as the insert, I want to show you how you put that in there. This would be a good time to show you that. I've already made a video about preparing the inserts, but here's the inserts after the paint's dried on them. Always handle them on the outside. Don't ever handle them on the inside of this thing. I don't like to get my skin oil on there. you would take these like this, and you're going to take them and you're going to put it over those pins right there. You see? Like that. And they just sit on those pins. If I can get this on there. Oh, that's a big one, that's fine. You got to watch, there's two different sizes here. Okay, these two diagonal make the small ones, this makes the bigger one. You set them on the pins. The pin spacing's a little different, so you can't put the wrong insert on the wrong hole. They just won't go down over the pins. So then after you do that, you take your cavity part, which is this part, and you put that down over top. So you see your mold is closed. Then you take this with the key here on there, put that against there like that. Put your rubber in there, and you're ready to go. Now, this, the thing I used to push the rubber in there, you see it got a little rusty here in the center, but that doesn't hurt anything. You don't have to worry about that. A little bit of Scotch-Brite or something like that would clean that right up. I usually concentrate a lot on putting the Teflon spray, which comes in the spray can around the outside here. If you look my single cavity video, I should explain that. The other thing I've done is that some of my molds, there is only one plate here to push the rubber in because I started standardizing the size of this hole here where I put the pot. If the pot's the same size, that saves me from having to make another one of these things to push the rubber in there. So some of them may not have this part. You get it off of another mold that fits. So just something I did to try to make the molds tooling a little bit cheaper and take a little less time to do. Let's see. The other thing I was going to tell you is when I run this mold, which maybe I'll make a video of doing that. I don't know. I don't think it's really necessary because as long as you see how it's run, I've already made one showing you how to run these transfer molds. I wouldn't think you'd need that, but on this one there's something a little different. I had this made. A friend of mine, one of my flying buddies, he made this for me. And the way this works is you set this, because the parts will be stuck usually in the cavity part. They'll stay in this half. This works a little different than some of my other molds, and I find this works better. I like that. Just a flat plate and the insert set on there, and the cavity part here, the parts will stick in this piece. And then I lay it on this wood thing like that, and to get the parts out of there, I just have a couple of little plastic pieces here I made to put over there. Smack it with a hammer like that. This one here will do the small ones. Smack it with a hammer. That ejects the part out of the cavity, and they'll be found in this thing, sitting on your table. And that works real well for ejecting the parts. Some of the other ones, some of my molds take a little bit more work to get them out. I'll have to show you that. But anyways, that's the way this mold works. And in the end, it'll make 4 carburetor sockets at one time, 2 for the Suzuki and 2 for the Kawasaki 440. And if I change these cores, I can make them for a Honda 360, which are exactly the same length, just different carburetor fits them. So that's the way that thing works.